Hi all, welcome back to Look Movie Recaps. Today I will be explaining a movie called Jolt. Watch out and take care. Lindy Lewis had a traumatic childhood, due to the lack of care from both of her parents. Her traumas have only gotten worse with time, and she now suffers from the intermittent explosive disorder, and only needs a mild trigger to leash out her anger on someone. After going through a lot of failed treatments, she was also sent to the military so that she could learn to channel her rage, but the results were no different than earlier. Eventually, her psychiatrist, Dr. Munchkin, comes up with a treatment, and provides her with an electric shock vest, which she uses to control herself from fighting with others. One day, in an attempt to be normal, she goes on a date with a guy named Justin. Although she tries to bail out at the last moment, but decides to stay, as he seems like a nice person to go out with. As they have a conversation, a waitress comes over to take their orders. But when she keeps on rejecting the dishes Justin wants to have, it makes Lindy outrageous, and she barely controls herself from stabbing her with a knife. A few minutes later, while using the restroom, she overhears the waitress making fun of Justin. Lindy tries to use her device, but it has become less effective. So, Lindy loses control and beats her up, but then flees from the restaurant without informing him. The next morning, she takes the device to Dr. Munchkin, and asks him to fix it. While fixing it, he asks about her date last night, which was actually a social experiment, but she thinks it badly failed, as she once again hurt someone. Although he returns the device, but tells Lindy, the only permanent solution to her problem, is to build a deeper connection with someone, and urges her to be in a relationship, but she leaves without saying anything. Although she has no plan to see Justin again, she suddenly gives him a call, and asks him to meet her. In their next meeting, they get along pretty well, and she even shares her passion for photography. They come over to Lindy's place, where he tries to kiss her, but she gets upset, thinking she might hurt him as well. Later, Justin also finds out about her vest, but does not care about it at all, and they spend the night together. After waking up the next morning, she gets a gift from Justin, and is overwhelmed to see it's a camera. After she thanks him for the gift, he asks her about her medical equipment, and she reluctantly shares about her disorder. She then requests him to stay longer, but he says he must report back to his office, where he works as the accountant, and leaves after inviting her to his house for dinner. She is overjoyous about this unexpected experience of being closer to someone, and excitedly meets Dr. Munchkin to share her happiness with him. As she did not use her device at all last night, she thinks if this relationship works, she might not need it again. After visiting the doctor, she spends the day taking pictures with her new camera. As she gets ready for dinner at night, she receives a message from Justin, telling her that he might get late. Lindy then calls him, but reaches Detective Vickers, who informs her about Justin's murder. She rushes to the police station, where Vickers and Detective Niven tell her that his dead body was found in a dumpster. While talking to them, Lindy feels they are not taking much interest in the case, and leaves the office, while deciding to investigate on her own. She later attends his funeral, and grieves his death. While remembering the short time she spent with him after being unable to control her emotions, she meets Dr. Munchkin again, who gives her sedatives to calm her down. Waking up again, she shares with him about Justin, and suspects his only client Barry might be involved in his murder. He tries to divert her mind, and asks her to let the police do their job, but she has made up her mind to take things into her own hands. Despite Dr. Munchkin stopping her, as he thinks she might kill someone, Lindy still decides to go on with her plan, and leaves the clinic after threatening him. She calls Detective Vickers, and asks him to come over to her house. As soon as he leaves the office, she sneaks into the building, and steals Justin's stuff from the evidence room. From his wallet, she gets his address, and visits his apartment to find any clues. As she looks around the place, Vickers calls her and scolds her for breaking into his office. He also tells her that although his partner wants to arrest her, he wants to give her another chance, so he informs her that Nivens is coming over. After listening to him, Lindy quickly leaves the apartment, but comes across Nivens at the door, who calls her a murder suspect, and intends to take her to the police station. As Vickers is still on the phone, Lindy tells Nivens about it, and tosses it over to her, but then escapes after attacking her. From the parking lot, she steals Justin's McLaren, and rushes out of the building. Nivens and Vickers start chasing her down, but end up in an accident, while Lindy successfully flees from the scene. The next morning, she visits a mobile store, and asks the manager to connect her to a hacker. He takes her to Andy, and Lindy requests her to break into Justin's phone. While running a check, Andy asks if her boyfriend was a drug dealer, as he has cleared everything from the phone, but Lindy tells her he was just an accountant. The phone only has the information about an arms dealer Barry Kersparky, which Lindy thinks was Justin's only client, as he told her his name, but did not tell her anything about his profession. Deciding to go after Barry, Lindy thanks Andy for her wonderful job, and leaves after giving her a set of keys as payment. She arrives at Barry's address, and learns he organizes paid fights. She directly questions him about Justin's murder, but he does not share anything with her. Seeing her determination, he challenges Lindy to fight his best 3 men in exchange for the information, and she agrees to do it. After she beats them all, Barry announces the results of the fight, and takes her with him. In the car, his men try to kill her, revealing he only tricked her earlier, but Lindy fights back, and tortures Barry for the information. He tells her that his boss Gareth Faisal killed Justin, but reveals that she won't be able to find him, as he is an influential man, and even the government is hesitant to go after him. Meanwhile, Detective Niven visits Vickers at the hospital, and tells him about Lindy's history of violence and assault due to her anger issues. After she leaves the room, Lindy shows up, and thanks him for warning her earlier. She also tells him that she has found the killer, and asks him to arrest Faisal, but he says they can't do anything without the evidence. Upon Vickers's question about the reason behind her determination to find Justin's killer, although she only met him a couple of times, Lindy tells him he was the only nice guy she met recently. Moved by her concern, he gives her Faisal's address, but warns her not to go there alone. As they discuss it, Nivens comes over and tries to arrest her, but Lindy manages to escape again. She arrives at Faisal's office building, but his security in charge, Delacroix, agrees to take her to the office, but knocks her down in the elevator, and confiscates her vest, before sending her out of the building. In the car, she continuously misses her vest, and asks the driver to pull over, but attacks him as he refuses to do it. The ensuing struggles result in an accident, but she makes it out of the car and leaves. Later, she meets Dr. Munchin again, and after telling him about her adventure, requests him to build her another device. After having dinner with him, she comes back to her apartment, but learns someone is already there. She jumps in through the window, and finds Faisal's men have set up a booby trap to kill her in an explosion. After dismantling the device, she takes it with her, and sets another bomb in the apartment to stage her death. After coming out of the building, she meets Vickers, who wants to arrest her for her own safety, but gets distracted after her apartment explodes, which gives her enough time to disappear again. Vickers calls her, and tries to keep her from going after Faisal, while asking her to let them do their job, but she knows they won't arrest him, so she ignores his concern and goes anyway. She climbs up to the office building, but is caught by Delacroix again. He takes her to Faisal, who confesses to killing Justin, along with many other innocent people. After listening to him, she can't control her anger, and snaps out again, but Delacroix knocks her unconscious after hitting her in the head. After waking up this time, she finds herself tied to a chair, where Delacroix tries to torture her, by draining out her blood. She lashes out at him, and after breaking herself free, attacks him with his equipment, to get the location of Faisal's secret office. After beating up the security guards on her way, she makes it to the office, but finds someone has killed Faisal, by shooting him in the head. Before she can figure out anything, she is shocked to see Justin appearing from the corner of the room. He admires her for her job, but she cannot believe he is alive, as she attended his funeral herself. Seeing her disbelief, he reveals being a CIA agent, who used her to get to Faisal, as they did not want themselves to get directly involved. He also tells her that she was recommended by Dr. Munchin, who actually works for them, because they fund his research. He then tries to kill her with the electric shock, while telling her that they will present her death as suicide, but the device does not work on her anymore, as she has become resistant to it. She gets up again, and tosses her bag to him, before rushing out of the building. Justin cannot understand her move, but the explosive in her bag detonates and kills him. After making it out of the building, Lindy visits Dr. Munchin, and accuses him of using her for his own purpose, but he apologizes to her, by saying he did not know about Justin's plan. As they argue with each other, Vickers and Niven come over, and find Lindy pinning him to the wall. They think she is trying to murder him, and shoots her in the leg, but learn she is only handcuffing him to hand him over for arrest. After taking her to the hospital, Vickers admires her determination, while both of them help her cover her tracks. After returning her device, which they took from her in the ambulance, he asks her out, and Lindy agrees to think about it. After recovering from her injuries and getting discharged from the hospital, Lindy comes back to her burn apartment, and collects her remaining stuff. She is soon visited by a strange woman, who is revealed to be Justin's senior. She offers Lindy a job at the agency, saying it will help her channel her rage, but she declines. The hacker Andy finds out that Lindy's payment to her was actually a McLaren. The movie comes to an end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications and leave a like to help the channel out.